was something that Danny added on the day, and I think it's really good, personally.
Filming wrapped after 7 weeks, just as the reality of selling tickets to a movie about a bunch of deadbeats grew nearer. Stakes were high and got higher when the publicity budget was revealed to be more than half the cost of the film.
It's extremely risky and adventurous when you don't have a movie star in it. You know, that takes a lot of guts to say, let's spend X million on this.
John Hodge wrote a trailer which we shot during production so that the trailer was in cinemas before the film had finished shooting.
Don't drink and drive. Take plenty of exercise. Don't let drugs screw you up. And don't let your mates tie you to the railway track. Yeah, most of all, don't let your mates tie you to the railway track.
The poster itself was something that had never been seen before, because it was unashamed. It was, you are not hip if you don't come and see this film.
Having 5 actors on the poster is all well and good, but we ultimately had 5 people that nobody film-wise really knew about.
The plan was to make each of the characters as identifiable as possible, so that right from the top of the film we weren't in any confusion as to who each of these people were.
We shot the poster on the last day of principal photography for a number of reasons. One was that Ewan McGregor, in fact, was putting on weight rapidly. Robert Carlyle couldn't wait to shave off his dodgy beg-me moustache. Kevin McKidd had decided to go on holiday, I believe, to Tenerife, so unfortunately wasn't available. And we wanted a girl on the poster because we didn't want it to just be a film about boys for boys.
It was unapologetic. This is the best film out this week. Go and see this film instead. Don't watch all that other rubbish, watch this. And I love that, you know, because it takes a bit of getting used to, because your natural instinct in British is to be a bit shy, so you gulp a bit as you pass the posters.
Inventive marketing and fearless filmmaking had been their mission throughout. But as the premiere approached, anxiety set in over the commercial wisdom of their choices.
There was a lot of apprehension and a lot of anxiety about this film would play to a mass audience.
You know, it's about a subject which is profoundly depressing and fearful for a lot of people.
Other people were confident because they felt it, you know, people on the crew and stuff. But I kept telling them, you're idiots. This is about Scottish junkies speaking a dialect that most people can't understand. Who's ever going to watch this?
I kind of had a conception that the film would do really, really well. I mean, I didn't... I remember Andrew MacDonald and myself were at Cannes, and he was saying, oh, if it does as well as Shallow Grave, I'll be happy. And I goes, fuck that, it's going to do loads better than Shallow Grave.
Trainspotting premiered in Scotland in February 1996. The Britpop stars of the soundtrack turned out in support, and an unknown Angelina Jolie put in an appearance as Johnny Lee Miller's new girlfriend.
And the premiere was filmed live in Scotland, which that was unheard of.
I've been avoiding looking at everything in the papers and all that. I've been living in Holland, and it was the first time I came back in and just like, God, it isn't just my mates kind of bullshitting me about how big this is fucking huge.
Trainspotting grossed nearly £5 million in its first month in the UK. No doubt helped by the fuss whipped up around the film's depiction of drug use.
I'm rather disturbed by Danny Boyle's admission that his film has no moral attitude about drug taking. Why? Not to condemn it is virtually to condone it.
There was a whole discussion at the time about glamorising drug use, which I never believed, and I still don't to this day. I don't think it ever did. I just think it told the truth about it, you know.
If you come away from that film thinking, oh, I want to try heroin, then I think he didn't stay for 90 minutes.
I think Trainspotting in the end might have turned some people into filmmaking, more likely.
Costing less than £2 million, the film raked in more than 6 times that, as it spread the concept of cool Britannia around the world.
They got the music right, they got the look of the film right, they got the casting right, and I think fundamentally that film delivered. That's why the film worked.
It was just amazing. It just felt amazing at the time. I was never in any doubt that it was going to be a success. I couldn't have imagined it was going to be the success it was.
It did freak me out that it became so amazingly popular. I mean, I remember going to a cinema in America when it opened, and they literally had stopped taking money. There were just people coming in and out. They were just running it, and it was just like mayhem, you know. And I'd never seen anything like that before, and, you know, to think that that was something, apart from just being angry that they weren't taking the money, you know.
Danny did obviously just a fantastic director, and he did a great job, and Andrew kind of, pulled it all together. But I think that the real kind of hero of it was John, to actually make something that wasn't adaptable to film, to actually be able to sort of do that and pull that off was a fantastic achievement of writing and of organising material.
Figment Films had produced another winner, and Boyle, MacDonald and Hodge teamed up again with Ewan McGregor the following year to produce A Life Less Ordinary. In 2000, their first big-budget blockbuster, The Beach, starred Leonardo DiCaprio, but failed to live up to the hype.
People didn't particularly like it, and it wasn't particularly that big, really, in a way, in the way we made it, but it's regarded as being a kind of Hollywood film, but it's not really. So we've always tried to stay what we regard as small, really, and not worry about what the Americans think of that.
Still one of the most unpredictable directors around, Danny Boyle turned his hand to the futuristic zombie horror 28 Days Later and the thriller Sunshine. Both films reunited him with his regular collaborator, producer Andrew MacDonald.
I guess if we were ever to work together again, the thing I'd like to do is, a sequel to Trainspotting with everybody.
In terms of sequel, it's just too much like the high school reunion thing, and they never really kind of work out.
Sales of Irvine Welsh's book rocketed when the movie was released, and unsurprisingly, it was the first of many adaptations of his work.
If you were to look at the history of novels that have been adapted for the big screen, then Trainspotting is definitely one of the most successful ever. And I don't mean commercially, I mean artistically.
In terms of an experience of filmmaking, Trainspotting was the slickest and smoothest it's ever been because of the people involved in it.
Ewan McGregor went from playing a junkie to a Jane Austen dandy in Emma opposite Gwyneth Paltrow. But it was in the Star Wars prequels as Obi-Wan Kenobi that his career went into orbit, returning to Earth in 2001 with Black Hawk Down, which also featured Ewan Bremner. In 2003, he starred in Young Adam alongside Peter Mullen. But what became of the actor who played the director's favourite character?
Trainspotting definitely opened a few doors, but it kind of disappeared, and didn't really want to know too much about the acting game for a couple of years, really, after that. And I went off to America and, got married and stuff. And so in a way, it completely, opened up all these doors, which I firmly slammed shut again.
He may have shunned the big screen, but it was impossible for Johnny Lee Miller to avoid the limelight when he married his Hackers co-star, Angelina Jolie. In 1999, he starred in the Highwayman double act Plunkett and McLean, alongside the man who played Begbie. Robert Carlyle's career soared. He went on to play a Bond villain and take off more than a Pringle sweater in The Full Monty. But he still found time to continue his role in popular TV series Hamish Macbeth.
It's only some Bruno hinge.
Right.
Kelly MacDonald got used to the red carpet. She progressed from small parts in art house movies to big parts in Hollywood Oscar winners, and sealed her credentials in the Coen brothers' No Country for Old Men. But it's thanks to some men back in the old country that she got her big break.
It was like a piece of magic, that film. And it's interesting that we made the film in 7 weeks. I challenged Danny, John and I to make a film in 7 weeks now.
They kind of worked very, very hard to capture the spirit of the book. I think they managed to achieve that.
Trainspotting was the first film that was made for a British youth audience, and sadly, nothing has come along since.
Trainspotting really broke that taboo of the heroin user being a human being like everybody else and not just a bogeyman.
I'm cleaning up and I'm moving on, going straight and choosing life. I'm looking forward to it already. I'm going to be just like you.